There is this phrase that I cannot stand to my core. I hate this phrase. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. You probably hate it too. You just don't want to say it out loud. You might have used it in the past, hopefully in the past, and you don't use it anymore. And I get that when people use this phrase, they have the best intentions. I'm going to say that. I'm going to believe that they have the best intentions. When it is used, though it is used at times where people are trying to offer comfort, it does not comfort. It's that phrase, everything happens for a reason. Okay. When you've lost someone, when the marriage is falling apart, when the diagnosis comes back positive, that phrase doesn't bring comfort. It honestly feels like a slap in the face. Because if this is God's reason, then God is cruel. If this is the plan, this plan is reckless. And I think a lot of us are walking around with this secret resentment toward God because we've been taught a bad theology of suffering. Some of this theology will have you walking around thinking that God's up there playing chess with your trauma, or that he'll break your legs just to teach you how to use crutches. That is not the God of the Bible. We need to talk about the lies because I know you've heard them. Maybe you've probably even said them. Check out these 3 things that people say to sound spiritual, but are actually toxic. Lie number 1, God won't give you more than you can handle. That is a misquote of 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Paul was talking about temptation, not trauma. Life will absolutely give you more than you can handle. Look at what David says in Psalms 13, verse 1. He cries out, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me? Forever, ever, 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 ever." That is a man who is overwhelmed. The Bible is full of people who couldn't handle it. The hope isn't in our ability to be able to handle it. It is in his ability to hold us up when we can't. Lie number 2. If you had enough faith, you wouldn't be suffering. I have personally heard preachers say that in the pulpit. Personally, what are you doing? What are you saying? What is wrong with you? This comes from that abused prosperity gospel garbage that destroys people's soul. It turns God into a vending machine. Insert the faith coin, get the blessing. Jesus himself debunked this in John 16, verse 33. He said, "In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." Trouble is a promise, but not a lack of faith. Lie number 3, God needed another angel. Please stop saying this at funerals. God is the creator of the universe. He is not a recruiter who is short of staff. Death is an enemy. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 26, Paul calls it the last enemy, actually. When Jesus stood at Lazarus' tomb in John 11, he didn't celebrate, he wept. So it's okay to hate death because God hates it too. So if God didn't cause all of this to teach me a lesson, and if it's not a lack of faith, then what are we doing here? We have to look at the Joseph principle, which takes place in Genesis chapter 50 around verse 20. Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. Yeah, they intended harm. God didn't mind control them to do it. They chose evil. But look at what Joseph says years later. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for my good." Here's the shift. God is not the architect of evil, but he is the master recycler of it. He is so sovereign and so powerful that he can take the debris of your life, the abuse, the divorce, the addiction, the loss, and he can build a bridge for someone else to walk over. He doesn't need the evil to happen to do good. But once the evil happens, he refuses to let it go to waste. So let's change the question. We waste years asking why. Why me? Why now? Staying in the why keeps you a victim. It keeps you looking in the rearview mirror. If you want to heal, you have to change the question. Stop asking, why did this happen? And start asking, what can I build with this? Because here's the reality found in 2 Corinthians 1 and 4. God comforts us in all of our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves received from God. Ooh, that was good. I gotta say that again. The reality is in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 4. God comforts us in all of our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves received from God. Woo, powerful. Your pain gives you a credential that seminary can't give you. It gives you authority. You see, when you walk into a room and say, I know what it feels like to lose a child, or I know what it feels like to have a spouse walk out, people will listen. Not because you're smart, but because you have the scars. Your misery does become your ministry. If you could walk away with anything after listening to this, I want you to walk away with these three things. God redeems what he didn't design. Just because God uses it doesn't mean he approved of it. He didn't approve of Joseph's slavery, but he used it to save a nation. Stop blaming God for the world's brokenness and start trusting him to redeem it. Number two, the why keeps you stuck. The what now is what sets you free. You may never get an explanation on this side of heaven, and that's hard. But you don't need a reason to find a purpose. The moment you shift from why me to how can I use this is the moment you take your power back. Number three, your scars are your credentials. Your greatest pain is often the birthplace of your greatest ministry. People do not connect with your perfection. They connect with your pain. Don't hide your scars. It's the proof that you survived, and it gives hope to the person who is still bleeding. Okay, now let's sit with some hard questions. Is God punishing me for my past sins? If you are in Christ, the answer is absolutely no. Romans 8:1 says, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. All the punishment for your sin was placed on Jesus at the cross. God doesn't double charge. But here's the thing. If you are not in Christ, the reality is heavier. You're swimming in the same waters of a broken world. Pain, loss, sickness, but you're doing it without a lifeline. That is why it feels like you're drowning. The difference isn't the storm. Everyone gets the storm. The difference is in the anchor. If you're tired of treading water alone, the hand is reached out. You just have to grab it. Another hard question. Why didn't God stop it if he could? This is the hardest question. God allows free will, and free will means people can choose evil. He also allows the natural laws of a broken world to play out. He often chooses not to intervene in the event so that he can intervene in the outcome, bringing a greater good than if the bad thing had never happened. It's definitely a mystery, but it's not malice. Here's another question somebody might be asking. How can I trust God after all of this? Trust isn't a feeling, it's a choice. You don't have to feel trusting to trust. You start by being honest with him about your anger. He can actually handle it. Then you look at the cross. If he loved you enough to die for you, he loves you enough to walk you through this. Trust his character, even when you can't trace his hand. Here's the bottom line. I don't know what you're going through right now. Maybe you didn't choose this. Maybe life just hit you out of nowhere. Or maybe you did choose this. Maybe this mess is your fault. Maybe you blew up the marriage. Maybe you took the drink. Maybe you made the bad call. And now you're thinking, well, I deserve this. God's not gonna help me through this. That is a lie. It's funny because people love to quote Joel chapter 2, verse 25. I will restore you the years that the swarming locusts have eaten. We treat that verse like a divine refund check, like God owes us a reimbursement for all the bad luck. But we missed the context. The locusts were there because the people had sinned. They had walked away from God. They brought the disaster on themselves, and God still promised to restore. Look at Apostle Paul. He wasn't a victim, he was a villain. He hunted Christians. He held the coats while they stoned Stephen. By all rights, God should have crushed him. But instead, God used him to write half of the New Testament. So whether you were the victim or the villain in this story, the offer is still the same. Hand it to him. Say, God, I broke this. I messed this up, but I'm giving the pieces to you. Build something with this. Make the devil regret the day he messed with you, because when God takes your failures and turns them into your testimony, that is the ultimate revenge on hell.